Yo, we are back with the great Ace Attorney. Um, I've had some fun playing Slay the Princess, and I realized that I had made it halfway through finding all the vessels. Found 13, and according to the game files, there should be at least like 25. So, yeah, it's not completely done with that game, so I'll go to alternating it. You know, tomorrow might do some Slay the Princess. Today, I'll do the Great Ace Attorney. Is that, yep, sound is working, and hopefully OBS won't fuck with me when I'm playing Ace Attorney. Hopefully that was just a fluke with Slay the Princess. Okay, enough stalling, let's get to it. The Adventure of the Runaway Room. Does this one have an open and cinematic?
Glancing over my records of the late last century, I am faced by the events of a certain bitter winter. A murder in a carriage as it sped through dense London fog in the dead of night. Though the victim and the perpetrator were the only ones inside, there were multiple witnesses to the crime itself. However, none could have imagined at the time that such a seemingly obvious case as this would end in such a horrendous manner. My friend, Mr. Herlock Sholmes, once said of the incident, "I believe that perhaps that case was indeed the prelude. The beginning of a long concerto that impressive Japanese student and I were to play together."
Amazing. Is this really just a railway station?
Railway station or not, I've never seen such an enormous building before.
And look at all the steam locomotives. This country is incredible.
I feel like I'm dreaming.
So this is the capital of Great Britain.
So, where to?
Oh, hello.
Climb aboard. I'll take you wherever you want to go.
In that case, the Supreme Court in Whitehall, if you wouldn't mind.
My pleasure. I suppose you're visiting students from abroad, eh?
Yes.
Thought so. Well then, I hope you enjoy your stay. And welcome to the centre of the world, Great Britain's mighty capital, London.
Don't know if I said this before, but yes, this would be a point in time where the sun didn't set on the British Empire. Wow. What an incredible place. It's so imposing. It's almost suffocating. This place is breathtaking. It looks like a fortress. There are some stone buildings like this in Japan now, of course. But they've only been built in the few short decades since we opened our borders to the outside world. Gunboat diplomacy. An authentic example like this has quite a different impact, wouldn't you agree? A far cry from the wood and paper most of our buildings are constructed from. It's certainly unfamiliar. What are the purpose of those? But I think there's more to the differences than just construction materials. What are the purpose of that clockwork? What is this place again? This is the Lord Chief Justice's office, Naruhodo-san, in the Supreme Court of Great Britain. The Lord Chief Justice. We had instructions to report here at this time. If circumstances were different, we were supposed to let the Lord Chief Justice know that we had arrived from Japan. Oh, but Kazuma can't. No. So instead, we are here in a different capacity. As envoys to report the news of Kazuma-sama's death. Yes. And having delivered his or her message, an envoy's duty is done. So, we'd have to return to Japan. If we want to remain here in Great Britain, I have to take Kazuma's place as the law student selected for the study tour. Yes, which means you need the requisite qualifications as a lawyer. Which is what I've been studying for. Here in Great Britain, it is the Lord Chief Justice who appoints lawyers. So that's the second reason why we're here, to have you officially recognized as a lawyer. Ah, need to pass the bar exam. It's the only way that we'll be able to remain here in London. I hope I'm up to scratch. Good morning, sorry for keeping... That's the... Oh. Is that Damon Gant? I trust you weren't too exhausted after your long voyage from Japan. It seems I'm 1 hour, 12 minutes, and 47 seconds late. My apologies. Oh, no, don't mention it. We're never happier than when we're standing around with nothing much to do. How fortunate. So, introductions. I am Mael Strongheart, Lord Chief Justice of the British Empire. And I feel like a little mouse under an elephant's foot. Come on, Mr. Naruhodo, don't be a mouse. Oh, why can't everyone read my mind? It's an honor to meet you, Lord Chief Justice Strongheart. I'm Yonosuke Naruhodo from the Empire of Japan. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, welcome to London, the capital of our glorious British Empire. Ah, yes, thank you. Lord Chief Justice, I think you were expecting a student of law for the study tour, weren't you? Absolutely. Mr. Kazuma Asogi, if my memory serves. That's right. The British government has already been telegraphed a full report on the situation. I understand the young man lost his life aboard the steamship bound for our shores. That's amazing. The news reached him before we even arrived. My country naturally extends its deepest condolences to yours. Oh, thank you. And you honored this appointment specifically to inform me of the news. Well, yes. But also, we are here in the capacity of envoys from Japan to report the sad news in person. They tell me you Japanese are people of protocol and courtesy, and I see that it's true. And it is with some regret that I must inform you that the death of the inn-lawyer means the study tour arrangement can no longer proceed. If you would just hear us out, Lord Strongheart. What do you have to say, madam? It's about the study tour. Mr. Naruhodo here would like to make a proposal. Would he now? Well, Mr. Naruhodo... This is it then. The moment of truth. The thing is, Lord Justice, Lord Strongheart, I was wondering if perhaps you would consider allowing the study tour to go ahead. Don't misunderstand me. Britain would ideally like to see the tour go ahead, but without a lawyer from your country, there's nothing to be done. Well, in that case, what if there was someone else? Another lawyer from Japan, I mean. Is there something I don't know? Only a single lawyer was invited to Great Britain from your country. And that was Mr. Asogi. At least that is what I've been led to understand. Well, the thing is, this really isn't going well at all. I just can't seem to find the right words to say to this man. Mr. Naruhodo! I could ruin things here if I'm not careful. What am I gonna say? If there is someone else here from Japan who could be described as a lawyer, it's... I will become a lawyer! It's me! I can do it! Game over! Is that so? I mean, I don't actually have any qualifications as such, but... No qualifications, you say, and yet you still claim to be a lawyer? I have acted as a lawyer in court before! Only once, as it happens, and I had Cosmo to help me. And I was the accused. But glossing over the details... I've been spending every spare moment on the journey here to Great Britain studying. I've learned all about British law and court proceedings while I was on board the SS Boreal. The voyage from Japan is some 50 days, I believe. Not what you might call a full education. To become a qualified lawyer here in Britain, not only do you need a university degree in law, you must also complete several years of training. I realize it's far too short a period of time, but I can't just go back to Japan. Kazuma, Mr. Asogi's journey had only just begun. Coming here on this study tour was all he thought about. I have to carry on and do everything he planned to do. I know it must sound like I have an overly inflated opinion of myself, but I would do anything to prove that I have what it takes. Any test you care to set to me. Just one chance, that's all I'm asking for. Please! 31 seconds. Sorry? Your opening statement there, Mr. Naruhodo, it was 31 seconds long. Not too brief, not too protracted. A perfectly judged appeal, I would say. Which is a skill that would stand you in good stead as a lawyer. Oh, thanks.
So, you're willing to put those words to trial, are you? Well, I'm all for entertainment.
Huh?
But let me ask you one thing first, sir.
Yes!
You say you intend to do everything Mr. Sogi planned to do. Are you firmly set on that path?
Well, yes, that's my intention.
I see.
Have I imagined things? Or did his expression just alter a fraction there all of a sudden?
Very well. You have your wish. I'll give you a chance. A test to become a specially certified lawyer. Whether you pass or fail is entirely down to you.
Really? You won't regret this, sir. So, what form will the test take exactly? Don't tell me it's another trial.
Tell me, Mr. Naruhodo, what would you consider the role of a lawyer to be?
Well, defending people, of course. Discovering the truth.
Well said. So, let's have you defend someone.
Huh?
Your timing is perfect, in fact. There's an apt trial about to begin later today. No advocate has been appointed for the defense as yet, so this will become welcome news.
Ah, well, surely in Great Britain, there's a presumption of innocence. Nope, there's no presumption of innocence in Britain. And this was actually a very important point in a biopic about, like, it was like the famous court case where a woman said that a Holocaust denier was, lying, and so the Holocaust denier sued her for slander. Today? Straight away?
If you manage to secure a verdict of not guilty, you'll have passed my test. What could be simpler?
How do I get myself into these situations? So really, the presumption of innocence, it's kind of unique to the States. At least to my knowledge. What sort of trial is it, this Lord Strongheart?
Yes, good question. I remember. It's a murder trial.
A murder? Every time.
An extremely simple case, I understand. You really can't lose.
That's easy to say.
But I should mention, just in case, if the defendant is found guilty, he will, of course, be sentenced to capital punishment.
What? Capital punishment? He'll be put to death? Death!
Here in Great Britain, murderers are sent to the gallows, without exception.
Ah, shit. When did they when did they reform that?
Presumably, you read that much in your short sea-based introduction to British law.
We can't possibly agree to such a test. We would be toying with a man's life.
I am the Lord Chief Justice, and I've decided it's acceptable.
Okay, but you can't do that, can you? Just...
There's no need to overcomplicate this. All you have to do is ensure that you don't lose.
So the defendant may live or die, depending on how well I perform in court. If I lose, he'll be hanged.
Mr. Naruhodo, you've come to me claiming to be a lawyer. If you want me to take you seriously, you need to prove you're willing to do a lawyer's job. And you say you intend to see through the will of your compatriot, Mr. Asogi? I would like to understand just how far you're willing to go in order to make that happen.
He's tested my resolve.
What's the matter? You fallen silent. I'm sorry, but time is pressing. The trial begins shortly. I need an answer from you now. What's it to be?
What do I say? Do I agree to this absurd test? I'll do it! Alright then. If I have to give you a decision now, my answer is... I can't do it! I can't get the words out!
15 seconds! Your decision-making needs work if you want to be a lawyer. That was too slow.
Panicking like a scared puppy.
So it's as I suspected, is it?
Sorry?
You have noble intentions, but lack the resolve to see them through. Game over. The test is cancelled. Thank you for stopping by. Go and acquire your ticket for passage back to the east tomorrow. This conversation is over. Get the fuck out.
Wait, what? Get out! So, Hail Sword Stoneheart. Thank you for offering me a chance. Mr. Naruhodo. I'm sorry, Mr. Zato, but what could I do? It's alright, I understand. You do? It's not an easy decision to choose whether to defend a man in these circumstances. But resolve has absolutely nothing to do with it.
What are you trying to say, madam? Get the fuck out of my office.
I think what Mr. Zato means is that no matter how bad they like to be recognized as a lawyer and stay here in Great Britain, to risk another man's life by treating his one and only chance at a trial so trivially would be utterly unforgivable, and I feel exactly the same way. I'm sure the defendant won't see his trial as a test, as some kind of experiment. A lawyer may fight for his clients in court day after day, but for each one of those clients, the particular day they stand in the dock may be the only chance they have to fight to prove their innocence. No, I was wrong. I'm not qualified to do that job yet. I'm sorry for wasting your precious time, Lord Chief Justice.
Wait, Mr. Naruhodo.
Oh, was there something else?
It's approximately 20 minutes by carriage to the Old Bailey from here. If you leave immediately, you should still be there in time.
But I just said that!
I was quite serious in what I told you. The defendant in this case has literally no one to advocate for.
What?
At this point, he can't hope to find someone to represent him. The trial will begin without a defense. And if that happens, there's only one possible outcome.
Death!
He will receive the most severe sentence the judge can pass down.
Sending him to Australia! But that's awful!
Well, that is the truth.
Why does it have to be like this?
Please don't expect an answer to every question. The cold hard truth of the matter is that there is only one person now with a chance to save this man from a very miserable end. And that is you.
I'm really his only hope.
So, what do you say now, madame?
Me? What do you mean we're so hurt?
What? You said it wasn't an easy decision to choose whether to defend a man under these circumstances, and I agree. But in my estimation, it is purely and simply a matter of resolve.
Oh.
Our time is up here. I have a meeting to attend. I must leave in 2 minutes and 16 seconds. So, venture into our great city and enjoy yourselves.
Well. He's gone. The Old Bailey. Is that a real place? I'll look that up later. If we're going to do this, Mr. Naruhodo, we must leave at once. Yeah. Moving. Schmovin'. London's highest criminal court with an illustrious past. The Old Bailey. Okay, it's a criminal court. Highest court. The highest... 18th of February. Oh, thank goodness we're in time. There's still 15 minutes until the trial begins. I never knew a horse-drawn carriage could go so fast. Well, horses are fast. I thought my teeth were going to rattle loose. Did you hear what I said to the driver when we climbed aboard? You wrote it down or something? Get us to our destination in 5 minutes, driver, and there's a guinea in it for you. It's one of my favorite lines from the Sherlock Holmes stories, and it worked quite perfectly. Did you have a guinea? I'm not sure why you're so pleased. I thought we were gonna die, and we had to pay gold for the privilege. Well, at least we arrived here before the trial started. Yes, I suppose there's that. So, how many fucking words are there for British currency? Pound, shilling, pound sterling, a crown. A crown? No, not a crown. A crown, a sovereign, a guinea, a loony, a toonie. That's all, folks. Anyway, I don't understand it. The court clerk said the defendant should be here, but there's no sign of him at all. Oh, he already killed himself. So this is the Old Bailey. Even this room for defendants to wait in is grand. Are you alright, Mr. Naruhodo? I'm feeling tense, that's all. This place gives me the same sense of foreboding that I remember from the Supreme Court in Japan. An oppressive air, almost as if the building itself is going to crush whoever's about to be sentenced. It feels like only yesterday that I was the one about to be crushed. Yes, whoever the man you're about to defend is, I imagine he's feeling very alone at this moment. Top of the morning to you, laddies! Sir? What are yous doing following me here? Tins of desperate, are they? Sorry. Would you look at those expressionless faces? From the east, are yous? We're from Japan, yes. Ah, Japan, is it? Right, say no more. So, how much do yous need? No, we're just here because... No need to explain, fella. I've been there myself, so I have. No place to go, nothing to eat, barely a penny to your name. And all while in a strange, faraway land. Well, actually, we haven't found a place to stay yet, no. Tis grand, tis grand. Let me start by giving you 1,000 guineas. Say nothing now. Ha. 1,000 guineas? Please, Mr. Zato, you don't have to shout. But 1,000 guineas is enough to build an entire mansion in the most prestigious area of Tokyo. What? 'Tis nothing to me at all. I like to ensure I have sufficient funds to weather a rainy day, you see. I have enough wealth to buy the city of London 2 or 3 times over. Now, by the city of London, do you mean London? Or do you mean the city of London, which is like, it's like a small city-state within London, or within Britain. It was built during when London was still under control of the Romans. And it's basically like a tax haven. Could that much rain even fall in one day? Well, even so, we couldn't possibly accept such a large sum of money. Yes, you can! Ah! That hit me in the eye. Coin. Don't get me wrong, fella. I'm not giving it to you, no strings attached. I'll be wanting you to do something for me. Oh? To be honest, 'tis a little embarrassing. The trial that's about to begin, you see, is for me good self here. I'll be in the dock. So now, what I want you to do is come along with me and stand there beside me. Officially, you'd be my lawyer, but that's just a little detail now. Oh, well, the thing is... Don't worry about a thing. All you have to do is stand up there next to me. Nothing more. Otherwise, you see, the trial is going to start without me having any kind of representation at all. So it was true. The Lord Chief Justice wasn't just making it all up. I'm terribly sorry to have to ask, but does that mean you're the defendant in this trial? Buster and Blazes, do yous not know who I am? I'm me, one of London's biggest names. No, sorry. We've only just arrived in the city, you see. I see. Suppose it isn't altogether impossible. Well, just next to Hyde Park there in the centre of London is another beautiful park. Sorry, a park. What? Tis called McGilded Park, full of blossoming flowers in the spring, and singing birds and whatnot. I donated it to the city, so I did. An entire park in central London? A city of smiles, that's my vision for London. There's nothing Magnus McGilded wouldn't do for the city and its quelled people. Ah, he's a philanthropist. That's amazing. I mean, really extraordinary. Ah, but now they've got all to say I'm a good-for-nothing criminal. Me, Magnus McGilded. What is the matter with the London police, I ask ya? Surely, if you're a rich philanthropist, you should be able to why couldn't you afford a lawyer? The best lawyer in all of London? Why do you need me? The third stringer. All right, don't pass out. Mr. Naruhodo. Perhaps now would be a good time to introduce ourselves while the gentleman catches his breath. Good idea. Mr. McGilded, the thing is, we're actually here in London to study British law. We're law students on a study tour from Japan, you see. So, if you don't have a lawyer for the trial yet, and you'd be happy to put yourself in our hands, we'll do our best. What was I after saying, you daft Egypt? I've given you 1,000 guineas to stand up there next to me, haven't I? Well, yeah, this one wasn't really offering to stand up there next to you. Oh, I think I see what's going on here. Sorry. I know what you're thinking. This chance of a fella claims to have more money than the Queen. But if that's true, why the blazes can't he hire the finest lawyer in all of England? Because he did it. That's the only explanation. Well, No! Ah! Although it is a little strange, to be honest. My teeth are sensitive. I drank a Monster Energy yesterday, and my teeth still haven't recovered. I brushed my teeth for so long. Ugh. Why you don't have a lawyer, I mean? That would be the fault of the Reaper. Sorry? Did you just say Reaper? Aye, the Grim Reaper of the Bailey, Lord Barak von ZIEKS. ZIEKS? I prefer ZIEKS. He's the Voxecutor. The prosecutor is the Grim Reaper? When Van ZIEKS stands for the prosecution, they call the accused his sacrificial lambs. What? And to this day, in every single trial in which he's been the prosecutor, the accused has been damned. What? So it's reached the desperate situation where there's no one willing to stand in defense against the fella at all.
You could say he's a living legend of the Old Bailey.
Goodness. Lord Baron Van ZIEKS. ZIEKS. He must be an exceptionally talented prosecutor then. Forged? Talented isn't the word you're looking for, madame. It's cursed. Cursed? What on earth?
The defendant is summoned and his counsel. Please make your way into the courtroom. The trial is about to begin.
His counsel. That would be me! Oh, 'tis time. Well then, fella, don't let me down. But I don't know anything about the case. You haven't told me what happened. Until you showed your face here, I'd made up my mind, so I had. Sorry? I decided I'd have to defend myself in there. No. How would that have worked? But then you made an appearance. A student of law, wouldn't you know? 'Tis no accident, I can assure you that. 'Tis fate. So don't get cold feet now, please. So the Irish man is counting on me. I literally know nothing about the case or about this man who stands accused. In fact, the only thing I do know is that I can't just turn my back on him. Boop, boop, boop. Sorry. Mr. Naruhodo. The man has no one. He'll have to stand alone in that courtroom, armed with nothing to defend himself. Yes, something that Cosmo would never have allowed to happen.
Counsel to the defense, what are you doing? If you're late for the start of the trial, you will lose your right to stand. Sorry, what's all this then? Right, what's all this then?
I'll be right there. It's happening then. My first trial in a British court. I hope you're watching over me, Kazuma. Because I have no idea how I'm going to manage this. Wow. So this is the highest court in Great Britain. The Old Bailey. The centuries of history in this place is palpable, isn't it? It's so different to the Supreme Court in Japan. It feels both imposing and serene at the same time. The atmosphere almost makes words redundant. Whatever the country, determining a person's guilt or innocence is always a solemn affair. May I say something, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, yes, what? Your eyes look ready to pop out of your head again. I know, but I just can't help it. Ah! Santa Claus?
In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. We are here today to determine the guilt or innocence of Mr. Magnus McGilded. I now call upon the counsels for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed.
The prosecution is fully prepared. That must be the Reaper of the Bailey. He really does look fully prepared to dispatch his next poor victim to the underworld.
Counsel for the defense, you appear to be Eastern. Do you speak English?
Huh? Yes, of course, sorry. But he asked if the defense was ready. I couldn't be further from ready if I tried. Those eyes please me. Japanese. Van ZIEKS, no! You're gonna get cancelled! They shroud your fear, your doubt, your trepidation. They run wild, clinging to some phantom notion of courage. The quintessential look of a sacrificial lamb. A cold shiver just ran down my spine all the way to the tips of my toes. Listen.
Now, Mr. McGilded,
Yes, my lord.
you stand accused of murder, a capital offense. You could be sent to the gallows if found guilty. Are you quite sure you wish to entrust your defense to this foreigner?
As I've always said, my lord, it is a grand thing to give opportunities to the young. Even if the fellows is doomed for some little island off in the far east. It is not the British way to ignore the dangers of yourself, and give those less fortunate a fair chance. I'd like to think that acts of chivalry do the great British Empire proud. Listen to Mr. McGilded, what a fine gentleman London has. Did you hear that he donated £5,000 to the government the other day? Mother, please make me go and play in McGilded Park. Seems as though everyone in the public gallery is firmly behind Mr. McGilded. That's definitely welcome news, and he certainly has a way with Ward. Well, at least he has a jury of his peers. Wait, there's no jury in this trial? What the fuck? I'm surprised you can convince anyone to defend him.
Eloquently put, Mr. McGilded, and most laudable sentiments. Now,
Lauded, that's the word. I thought it was lorded. It's lauded.
ladies and gentlemen of the Giraffe, I'm sure I need hardly to remind you that your 6 members of the public have been selected for your impartiality. Are you ready to proceed?
Ah, so those are the jurors.
Yes, my lord. If the task is to send waters to the gals where they belong, I'm more than ready.
At the manor, his lordship always says we should dispose of rubbish promptly. Naturally, I agree. Ha! Any criminals here will soon be wishing they never set eyes on me. I feel a chill. It's me. No, not doing that.
I feel a chill.
Oh, don't mind me, my dears. I'll just be getting along with my knitting. Must finish these mitts for my grandson. Mr. Naruhodo, these people are... the jury, yes. That's something we don't have in Japan yet. Oh, that explains quite a bit! That's right, I've only ever read about it. But here in Great Britain, the court's final verdict depends on the opinions of these 6 jurors. I really hope this game mechanic is in Ace Attorney 7. The judge passes sentence according to the law, but the jurors determine guilt based on common sense. So the defendant is ultimately judged from 2 completely different points of view. But how exactly do the jurors give their verdict? Well, it has to be unanimous. That I don't know, but I know how they do it. I'm sure it will become clear as the trial progresses. I know how they do it. I've seen 12 Angry Men. It's a really good movie. There are like 2 versions of it. You should watch it. Yes.
Prosecutor Van ZIEKS.
My lord. My lord.
It's been a number of years since he's seen you here in the courtroom. I thought you'd renounced your fame.
I'm known as the Reaper of the Bailey, my lord. Infamy rather than fame, I would say. But yes, 5 years have passed since I last spread my wings in this capacity.
So what brings you back? Is there some change of circumstance of which the court should be aware?
Wait a minute. I leave that to your imagination, my lord. So the Reaper has been out of action for 5 years? But hey, an aged tiger is still pretty dangerous. Why did he have to choose today of all days to make a comeback? Don't lose heart, Mr. Naruhodo.
As you wish, sir. The court nevertheless welcomes your return. Now then, opening statements, I think. A summary of the case, if you please.
Certainly, my lord. He also has a sword. As your lordship is aware, this is a case of overwhelming simplicity. We must be the only ones in here who aren't aware. Can you imagine if we had a fucking Western lawyer in here, an American lawyer in here? He had a gun. Yeehaw, I'm a cowboy. That's stupid. They already did that in the first Ace Attorney game, and the extra one on the DS, the one with Emma Sky, so yeah, never mind. The incident took place in the late evening. 3 days passed. The hour was some minutes after 10. The victim was a maker of building bricks, known in the community as Thrice-Fired Mason. Sorry? Thrice? Because
He was a very accomplished craftsman. The bricks he fired were said to be almost indestructible.
I'm sorry, Brick, but we'll have to let you go.
The victim's corpse was discovered in an omnibus in service of the streets of London at the time.
Omnibus. Omnibus. That's the guy from Invincible.
A dagger
A dagger had been thrust into the victim's abdomen. It is believed to be the ultimate cause of death. Here is the autopsy report from the investigating medical officer at Scotland Yard.
Thank you, Counsel. I shall accept that and the photograph as evidence.
The autopsy report has been entered into the court record. You better not update this. Photograph of the crime scene has been entered into the court record. And one further item of evidence. The prosecution wishes to submit these as well.
And these are... Good lord, is that blood, Counsel?
Yes, my lord. Seized by policemen who arrived at the scene. These ghost-worked gloves were taken from the hands of the accused when he was arrested. What? Mr. McGilden's gloves had blood on them?
Yes, I will accept these as evidence as well.
Blood stain on the right glove. That will be important later. How did I get into this? I backed in the corner before I've even started. Continuing. According to the driver of the omnibus, there were only 2 passengers traveling inside his vehicle at the time. Only 2? Obviously, one of these passengers was the deceased brickmaker, Mr. Mason. The other was the accused, Magnus McGilded.
Well, rather numbing circumstances, to say the least. Defendant, what say you?
Well, of course, I have no recollection of such a thing. Mr. McGilded! No, he's doing the right... Deny, like... Don't say shit! To be sure, I rode the omnibus that evening. But whether I'm in a carriage, whenever I'm in a carriage, I'm taken with a fierce tiredness, and I always succumb to it.
Are you claiming to have been asleep?
'Tis the motion of the carriage, my lord. Certain so it is. But when I opened my eyes again, 'twas a desperate sight before me. The body of a man I'd never laid eyes on before in me life. Now I ask you, what good-hearted soul wouldn't rush to help a fellow bleeding from his stomach? I wasn't about to start worrying about my gloves now, was I? I reached out to give the man a hand. So the blood got onto the gloves then, after the man had been killed. Unfortunately, that statement of the driver's is only the beginning. What? That's not all of it? There were multiple witnesses to the precise moment at which the brickmaker was fatally stabbed. Order! 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 When the killing took place, only the victim and the accused were inside the carriage, and there were witnesses to the crime. This is not just a case of compelling evidence. It's the nail in the coffin for the accused. Van ZIEKS, no!
Thank you, Counsel. The circumstances of the crime have been made quite clear. I think we will hear testimony from these witnesses first of all.
Your wish is my command. Bailiff, bring the witnesses in at once. Abraham Lincoln? Witnesses, your names and occupations.
My name is, well, everyone calls me Beppo. I drive an omnibus in the East End.
Bruce Fairplay. I'm a banker in the city. Oh, is he gonna be fair to the... My name's First. Lady First. I make hunts for gents. Okay. Let's begin by confirming the facts. 3 days ago, at a short time after 7 o'clock in the evening, all of you present in the stand were in an omnibus and witness to the aforementioned incident. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Quite right. Yes, sir. That's right, sir.
Very well, then. Let's proceed to your formal testimonies, please. Each of you will tell the court precisely what you saw.
Beppo. Buca de Beppo. I've never eaten at Buca de Beppo. That doesn't even sound like a real restaurant name, but it is. It's like Olive Garden. It's also like Fazoli's.
It was the last bus of the evening, so I had few customers. I remember it well.
The victim and the man accused of killing him were sat next to each other inside the bus. Then, out of the blue, the accused just reached over and plunged a rifle right into his guts. That's right, he stabbed him. I screamed, I did. Couldn't help it.
As soon as I heard the scream, I stopped my bus, and then I saw it too. Unambiguous testimony, I must say.
Exactly, my lord. These men witnessed the incident at the omnibus with their own eyes. I'd like to ask a question, if I may.
Yes, counsel?
Well, this testimony... makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever. Why not? Well, the incident took place inside a moving carriage, didn't it? As has been clearly stated from the outset, yes. Well, in that case... how could those two witnesses possibly have seen what happened? There's no way they could have seen the inside of the moving carriage! How quaint. What do you call... Don't... I read that the civilization in Eastern Island nations was a good century behind our own. Gee, I wonder why. But you're here in London yourself. Are you really so ignorant about our omnibuses? Huh? Yeah, this guy is very racist. But hey, it's fucking... in England, of course, everyone here is racist. Except for Sherlock Holmes, he's a nice guy. Tell me, my Nipponese friend, have you even traveled in an omnibus? I respect every lawyer in here. Does that include me? No, you're Japanese! Oh! Well, no. We only arrived in London this morning. No matter. I've arranged for us all to see for ourselves the actual scene of the crime, that is. What? What do you mean? The actual scene? How? A carriage is designed to be moved, after all. Presumably you understand that much. Yes. The omnibus in which this bloody crime took place is here today in this very building. Here? What? You... Yes, it was the entire carriage? Yes, it was I. I put the cart before the horse. I'm not good at these Von Karma along jokes. Bailiff. Bring forth the stricken omnibus. Oh, Lord. So that's an omnibus. The omnibus. And now it's gotta testify. I can't believe they could bring something so enormous in here. Great Britain's courtrooms are amazing. Baker Street. That's the one that, like, got set on fire, right? The Great London Fire. As you can see, the omnibus is pulled by 2 horses and can carry up to 8 passengers. 4 passengers are seated inside the enclosed cabin, and another 4 on the rooftop deck above. Every Londoner knows that the best views of the city's architecture and sights are to be had from the top of an omnibus. And I should point out to our foreign guests that there is a skylight in the roof, allowing a view of the interior from the seats above. Ah, skylight. Ah! The penny drops at last, I see. That's another Englishism. These 2 gentlemen were occupying the rooftop seats on this omnibus when the murder took place. That is how they came to witness the grim incident. Through the skylight. That makes perfect sense.
Well, Consul, as this is a first, in all my years behind the bench, I'd never expected the crime scene itself being brought into the council.
Fuck that up. There are a number of important clues remaining inside the carriage, my lord. I would like to submit the omnibus itself as evidence. That is the prosecution's wish.
Very well, I see no reason why not. This omnibus is hereby formally accepted as evidence.
Oh my god, can I examine the omnibus? I can't believe it. The entire crime scene entered as evidence? Look at that shit! So this is the roof deck of the omnibus. Oh, you must have a wonderful view of London's streets up here. So people sit all the way up here on bitter winter nights with the cold air rushing past them? And they have to pay money to do so? I can't imagine how cold it must feel. It just made me think of something horrible. Can you imagine being dragged around the city in the freezing cold as a punishment? Perhaps that is the real price to pay to stay out late. Phoenix Wright? You can't do that! That's a name! Are you telling me our Phoenix Wright was named after a bus? Anyway. Yes, Great Britain is simply extraordinary. Surely a diorama would have sufficed. I could help myself a lot by giving that omnibus a thorough examination, seeing as it's here.
Let us continue with proceedings then. Your cross-examination, Counsel.
First, I want to look... Pray don't expect the Snippanese to stray unto... Pray don't expect the Snippanese stray to understand the intricacies of a British court's cross-examination rights. Alright, my first cross-examination in a British court. Focus, Renosuke. Focus! What the witnesses saw. I'm gonna look at the I'll do that when they mention it. So, let's see. It was the last bus of the evening, so I had a few customers. I remember few customers. The victim and the man accused of killing him were sat next to each other inside the bus. Next to each other.
Hold it!
Nice. And you saw them right through the skylight on the roof of the carriage. That's right. When you sit up on the top deck, the window's at your feet.
Excuse me!
Mr. First. Oh, how can I help you, sir? That last statement, did it trouble you some way? Oh, not particularly, sir, no. If anything, he's troubling me with that hat of his. Has he greased his head? Oh, dear, sir. I hope my hat's not troubling you, sir. I'm still just an apprentice, you see. Mr. Naruhodo, even the witness can see what's going through your mind. You really must be more careful. I wish it were that simple. Let's... Then out of the blue, the accused just reached over and plunged a knife right into his guts. Oh, I see.
Hold it!
You actually saw the exact moment it happened? Didn't I already testify to that? No one's nervous here. Or a fair dinkum, hard-working city bankers not considered trustworthy these days? Oh, no, I didn't mean that. This is no good. I've really got his back up. Well, at least I'm not getting penalized. Perhaps you could just tell us what you saw in a little Fuck off. My mind is made up, my lord. Completely and utterly made up. Made up about what? I don't like the stinking rich. Never have. They're always up to something other that they shouldn't be. Every one of them. And that little leprechaun of a man is no exception. Well, he can't fool me. What? There's no point wasting time listening to any more of this. That's my opinion on the matter, anyway. Oh, damn. That is precisely what I was about to say. What? As the foreman of the jury, it's my duty to set a good example to my fellow jurors. This is... What is happening here? Let me see. Ah, yes. It seems that's how the members of the jury give their verdicts. With fire? Apparently, yes. White for innocent and black for guilty. But there are... As the 6 members of the jury make up their minds about the case, one by one, they each cast a ball of fire into the great scales of justice, as we saw a moment ago. So if those enormous scales fall completely to the black side, does that mean... death? Let's do our very best. But there are 6 jurors. What do they do if there's a tie? What if they do if it's a tie? Now I'm even more worried than I was before. Like, the Supreme Court has an odd number of judges to prevent that exact issue. Of course, if someone abstains, that would be a problem.
Very well, the court acknowledges the change in the jury's stance. Counsel for the defense, please continue with the cross-examination.
This is a nightmare. I screamed, I did. Couldn't help it.
Hold it!
He stabbed him, you say? And you were sitting up on the roof deck, were you?
Yes, that's right, sir. I was up on the roof seats.
No one seems that nervous. I'll remember seeing the little gent sitting next to the fellow that was stabbed. I'd been thinking about a new hat design, you see, so I was just gazing absentmindedly around. But then I happened to look down through the skylight. It was sticking right from his belly, the huge great knife.
A grim sight indeed.
Ah, that didn't help me at all. The jury looked like they're even more convinced my client did it than they were before. That appears to have made everyone even more dubious that Mr. McGilded is telling the truth. God, is this gonna be like the fucking clown court case where if I press them on the wrong things, I get penalized? Ugh. If only we had some evidence to counter their suspicions. Mr. First, oh, yes, sir? Is this the knife you saw? Oh, good grief, yes, that's it. That's the very one, sir. Is that? Yes, counsel. This is the blade that was driven into the victim's belly like a stake through the heart. Wait a minute. No. Why didn't you submit that evidence?
That is a blade of considerable size, counsel.
It is. And furthermore, the scabbard is emblazoned prominently with a certain initial. The letter M, which seems oddly familiar. How do you know it's not a W? That's gonna be the big twist, right? It's not an M, it's a W, and, M for Magnus, perhaps, or McGilded, possibly. Take your pick. It's W for Wombo. That's gonna be the twist. It's gonna be a witness whose name begins with a W, and he's the owner of the knife. It seems this particular big name in London made a magnificent mistake.
Objection!
But there are M's everywhere. Yes, like in Mason.
Objection!
This blade is far too extravagant for a poor brickmaker to have owned. No, this weapon of murder almost certainly belongs to the accused.
Not conclusive, but certainly compelling, counsel.
My lord, if you'll forgive the interruption. I'm trying to give her like a Cockney accent because she's a maid in Victorian England. Mr. McGilded is a pillar of society and a gentleman's word should be sacrosanct. However, those of us in service know we must accept hard truths. Wait! What are you about to do? Dispose of the rubbish. No! I don't wish to cause offense, but I do like to eradicate all traces of filth and crime. Hold it. I have painstakingly typed every word uttered here today and cross-referenced all the facts. You're also the stenographer? What? As such, I am now in a position to draw the only logical conclusion. Not again! That's 4 out of 6 jury members who proposed a guilty verdict. There are only 2 left. We've had it. Every time I press these witnesses for more information, I just make the situation worse. Nevertheless, what we need more than anything at the moment is more information. We're still very much in the dark. I suppose I'll just have to keep pressing the witnesses, knowing that more sparks may well fly. We mustn't give up hope that we'll uncover something that will give us a way to fight back. But... alright, I'll keep trying. I can't give up. I just need to keep calm and listen to the witnesses' statements again. As soon as I heard the scream, I stopped my bus, and then I saw it too. Alright, so when it happened, the only 2 people in the enclosed cabin were the victim and the defendant. And so help me, 3 whole people witnessed the man I'm trying to defend do the deed. I don't like to be pessimistic, but we do seem to be in a rather difficult situation here. I'm an optimist, but I'm also a realist. What am I supposed to think here? Is Mr. McGilded really innocent? Or could it be... But before we jump to conclusions, our first task should be to gather information. We need to understand the case much better than we do at the moment. Yes, you're absolutely right. Let's listen to those witness statements again, a little more carefully this time. There are 2 things I hadn't pressed him on. Oh my god. I'm going to save. Because... so help me God. Let me see. No, wait.
Hold it!
Yes, I think it was sometime after 10, wasn't it?
Oh, yes, sir. That's right, sir, yes. Oh, so cold it was. Freezing, in fact.
And you had 4 passengers on board at the time, is that correct?
Yes, that's right, sir. Not at all traveling the same part of the bus, of course, no.
And there were no other passengers
when the incident took place. No one alighted, for example. You're quite right with that, sir. No other passengers like that. No, none.
So nobody fled the scene of the crime, then?
I have to say, the boss insists on it. Running, he does. Early evening. The last bus on his day. But I do wonder sometimes if it's altogether worthwhile. Yes, sorry to say.
What do you mean by that?
Well, what with it being so cold and everything, and only making 20 pence on the run, you see? Yes, I spend that much at the pub on the way home, just trying to warm up again.
Plunge the life right into the guts. Let's look at the... Examine. Don't present it just yet. Thrice fired. Stabbed once in the abdomen with a knife while journeying. Died due to internal hemorrhage resulting from the trauma. Oh, that's consistent. Huh, he's missing a button. The right glove. This is definitely blood, isn't it? Not the most pleasant sight to be confronted with on our first day in London. Well, nothing will come of grumbling now. No. By the way, is Mr. McGilded right-handed? Yes, I believe so. He was toying with a coin in his right hand a little earlier. Ah, pity. If only he'd been left-handed. I think blood on either glove would be fairly incriminating, really. Yeah. Blood. An ornate letter M. Undeniably Mr. Magnus McGilded's initial. And it's beautifully gilded, too. Must be very valuable, I should think. Ah! What is it? Look at this M. If you turn it upside down, it becomes a W. This could change everything. See? Now he's thinking a W. Yes, this is one of those, you know, turnabout cases. I'm sure of it. I'm afraid I don't know it all. What I am sure of is that this is an M. Oh, well, that idea was quickly quashed. What? Can I remove the sheath? That part is the sheath, isn't it? Are you alright, Mr. Naruhodo? Hmm? Oh, sorry. Yes, I just don't really like blades. Oh. Those don't seem like the words of a man with a large katana slung from his waist. That's not a blade. That's Kazuma's soul. I think he was being metaphorical. Anyway, there's no sense in delaying it. Let's see what the blade looks like. Ooh. More blood. Ugh, that looks like a lot of blood. It surely is blood. The victims. An English man's blood looks a lot like a Japanese man's blood. Yeah, we're all the same color on the inside. Did you think it wouldn't? Sorry, it's just that we've only just arrived here in Great Britain. I'm finding it a little hard to adjust. Or was it because like they were so white you didn't think they would bleed? Yes, I do understand. Savages, savages, barely even human. Of the Disney racism song. That proves I'm a lawyer. Let's see, what am I missing? Well, let's open the door and go inside, shall we? Ugh, the scene of a murder. It's horrible. Are they doing this in the middle of a cross-examination? This is ridiculous. That's blood that's soaked into the seat. The victims, obviously. Yes, and that seat would be clearly visible from the roof deck. Would you really stab somebody in full view of the other passengers like that, I wonder? Well, it was after dark. And there was a lamp in here, so perhaps the culprit couldn't see anything outside through the skylight. Whichever way you look at it, it doesn't seem like it was a planned attack. Ah, that's a poster for the great exhibition that's due to start 6 months from now. There's a lot of focus being drawn to the Crystal Tower, the centerpiece of the whole exposition. Ooh, the Crystal Tower. It's under construction already, I believe. People all over London must be fizzing with excitement at the prospect of such a grand event. Ah, that's a poster for the great exhibition that's... Oh, son of a bitch. Huh. This seat has a handle, it seems. This looks like all sorts of equipment that might be needed to keep the omnibus running. Feed-in tubs, tools to repair wheels, blankets, horseshoeing tools. So it's a storage compartment for the coachman to keep his things, it seems. There doesn't seem to be any space for passengers to stow their luggage, that's for sure. Well, I don't imagine it would be very convenient for that purpose anyway. There's no No compartment here. It's quite a large skylight, isn't it? Yes, quite large enough to afford a good view into the cabin from the roof deck. And there doesn't appear to be a handle or a catch of any description. So I suppose it can't be opened from inside the cabin, at least. Have you seen enough? Let's step back outside, then. There's really... benches. So this is the roof deck of the omnibus. Oh, you must have... Oh, I already read this shit! Examined all I can. I'll just need more information. I saw it too.
Hold it!
What exactly did you see?
Oh, well, sir, that would be the passenger, sir. Yes, that collapsed to the floor he was.
Let's look at the car record. But he wasn't collapsed on the floor. He was sitting on the chair. And by the passenger, obviously, you're referring to the victim, Mr. Mason, the brickmaker.
And the other passenger that had a knife in his hand, like this.
By the other passenger, obviously, you're referring to the accused, Mr. Magnus McGildy.
And then he punched it down like this, stabbing the other passenger in the belly.
What?
My lord, I wish to speak.
No!
As the master of the London Guild of Coachmen, the idea of a murder being committed in one of the very city's carriages is utterly abhorrent to me. It wouldn't be right to make a decision before hearing all the facts, though, I said to myself. But I've heard enough now. The horse is bolted, so they say.
No, no, please, please, just keep an open mind a little.
Yep, now, please, the finish is in sight.
No, wait. We're fucked.
Poe is a long-standing member of the guild, and I trust what the man says. Oh, thank you, sir. You're too kind, sir.
This is too unkind, sir.
Which now means that 5 jurors agree to condemn this man.
Hey, wait a minute. That's the grandma from fucking Hat in Time. Murder on the Owl Express.
Madame Juror number 6.
Yes, dear. What can I do for you?
You have heard the testimonies of the witnesses in the stand.
Oh, yes, I certainly have. Still got me hearing, you know. Then again, I guess ties don't matter. It has to be unanimous.
Then, pray tell, why are you yet to pronounce your leaning?
Well, dear, the thing is, I'm a creature of habit, me. I always go to the park at around this time of day and sit on a nice bench and get on with my knitting. There's a lovely little park just near where I live. McGilded Park, it's called. The gentleman donated it to the city, you know, to put a smile on Londoner's face as he said, I can't imagine such a fine young gentleman would have it in him to take another man's life. He is always doing wonderful things for the city.
That's right, a man like that wouldn't stab someone, surely.
Mother, maybe we go to the McGilded Public Library later and borrow some more books.
How many Londoners live with their heads in the clouds? Do you people not know? What kind of a man Magnus McGilded really is.
What kind of a man is he?
The philanthropist Magnus McGilded has enough wealth to purchase the entire city he claims to value so highly. But where did all that wealth come from? Your client is a Shylock, sir.
The one with the very darkest of souls. Oh, great, he's anti-Semitic too. What? Stone the crows! McGilded lends money at an extortionate rates of interest, so his victims have no hope of repaying him. That is actually fucked up. When they default, he takes possession of everything they own. He is a vulture that preys on the weak. I've never heard any mention of that before. That is a sin according to the Bible. Usury. Ursa Major. Your faculties haven't deserted you, I'm sure, madam. So has this thought not crossed your mind? Would a man wealthy enough to bury London in its entirety not have a carriage of his own? What possible reason could this man have had to make use of a public omnibus service? Ooh. You're not saying that! The victim, a poor brickmaker, had next to nothing to his name save considerable financial liability. It will come as no surprise that his creditor was the accused, Magnus McGilded. But let it also be known that the very day Mr. Mason was killed was the final repayment date for his debts. Good gracious! The brickmaker was destitute. He had lost his house. He had not a shilling with which to repay his debts. And in the end, this pitiful soul had the very last thing he had owned taken from him. His life. By the merciless philanthropist pretender, Magnus McGilded. Can't get blood out of a turnip. I don't believe it. If I might add something briefly. Miss Susato? You claim that the victim had been lent money by Mr. McGilded. But where's the evidence to support your claim? My source is that I made it the fuck up! Van ZIEKS, no! What are you, drinking wine? What is a man? A miserable little pile of secrets! Pray forgive the discourtesy of filling my hollow chalice in a court of law. There it is. Lord Van ZIEKS' hollow chalice. How could this be considered acceptable? But I find myself in an unexpectedly good humor. I had heard ladies from the Far East could show great courage, but I didn't expect to experience it myself. Ah! As judicial sentence to the offense, I am simply doing my job. What a pity that your display of courage is in vain. This is the debtor's ledger, which details all monies loaned by the accused. You will find the victim's name clearly recorded inside. Allow me to present this ledger as evidence. And pray forgive the discourtesy of raising my chalice in a toast to the enigmatic East at the same time.
Oh, sorry. A marvelous toast, Consul. I will gladly accept this new evidence.
The debtor's ledger has been entered into the court record. Catalog of people who had borrowed money. It includes the victim who owed 20 guineas.
Ah, yes, 20 guineas. The victim owed a considerable sum.
And the accused made quite certain he had ample recompense since. Well, it would seem I've had the wool pulled over my eyes. No, wait! Regrettably, madame, that is the modus operandi of the accused. And it's such a pretty little park, too. What a scoundrel. No, don't do it! No! Granny, no! Still, maybe it's all for the best. Ah! Wait a minute! Let's think about this a little more before... I don't stand for nonsense. That was it. The last juror's decision. According to this encyclopedia of British law, when all members of the jury have concluded that the defendant is guilty, court proceedings are suspended, and the presiding judge will deliver the final verdict and sentence. That's what it says here. The final verdict. It's over then. Oh! There's a footnote, though. A footnote? However, the defense...
All 6 members of the jury are now in agreement in this case.
Allow me to convey my respect for your swift and righteous decision.
According to the laws of this country, I will now conclude the trial by delivering my final verdict. I trust there are no objections.
Objection! 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 Mr. Zato, just tell me one thing. Oh, yes? You were in the middle of saying something before? The footnote in your Encyclopedia of British Law? However, the defense... What did it say next? Oh, yes, of course. One moment. When all members of the jury have concluded that the defendant is guilty, the court proceedings are suspended, and the presiding judge will deliver the final verdict and sentence. Then the footnote says, however, the defense has the right to demand a summation examination of the jurors at this point. Summation examination?
Objection!
A summation examination. From which century has that tome you have there been resurrected? Ah! Judging from the binding, I would say that book is at least 50 years old. Any modern text on British law wouldn't even give such an antiquated procedure a mention. It's a relic, long forgotten, and certainly no longer practiced. So you're all out of luck. What even is it, Mr. Zato? The so-called summation examination. Oh, one moment, and I'll read about it. You would demand the right to a procedure before you even understand what it entails? Huh. Typical Nepalese. Alright, Mr. Naruhodo, I think I understand. It seems that under this procedure, we would be able to appeal to the members of the jury. To do what, exactly? Appeal to them to change their opinion and reverse their decisions. And it says here that, if successful, the proceedings of the trial must be resumed. Make them reverse their decisions.
Yes, in times gone by, barristers would use a summation examination to attempt to re-influence the jury's decision. But that procedure became something of a formality, with no practical benefit, really, so it rather fell out of use.
I wonder why. Because it was devoid of purpose. Changing just one member of the jury's mind would be hard enough, let alone several. But changing one member's jury is... that's all you need to do! I've seen 12 Angry Men! No self-respecting defense barrister would even assert his right to try in this day and age. Joke's on you, I have no self-respect! I don't see any mention of the procedure actually being formally revoked. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting that although it may be antiquated and largely forgotten, it isn't yet extinct. If this were real life, I know what would happen is, like, you got an innocent verdict thanks to the summation valuation or whatever, and then, like, fucking every conservative member in parliament is just, like, clamoring, trying to, like, we've gotta revoke that law. We gotta get rid of it. What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo? A summation examination. Our last possible option. Do we assert our right to carry it out or admit defeat? The defense wishes to assert its right to a summation examination, my lord.
Objection!
London is the capital city of the most powerful nation on earth. We have a duty to the world to exemplify the very highest standards of judicial procedure. Summation examinations are an embarrassment that should remain buried.
Objection!
But if it's our right, it's our right. I believe it could prove vital in this trial.
The defense's position is perfectly valid. The court will proceed with the summation examination.
This is madness.
Foreman, are you and the remainder of the jury ready?
Well, I'm not, there was no mention of this in the letter I received, you see, so... All members of the jury will be asked to explain on what grounds they have reached their decision.
On what grounds?
You must all justify your decisions and explain why you believed the defendant to be guilty.
This is exactly like 12 Angry Men. I love this.
Well, my lord, you're rather putting us on the spot.
This is most irregular. No mention of this was made before. Can't do a Cockney accent.
I don't really hold with all this justifying, Locke.
That seems to have thrown the jurors off. It seems none of them have experienced this before. Alright then, the summation examination. A defense procedure? No practicing lawyer has attempted it for years, is it? Well, just maybe. It might be the opportunity we've been looking for to turn this trial around.
So be it done, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. The court hereby calls upon you to state the grounds on which you find the defendant, Magnus McGilded, guilty of this most serious crime.
Sorry. The jurors' contentions.
There was no one else inside the carriage at the time, so it has to have been him.
I trust the driver. He has an excellent memory, it seems. 4 passengers with fares totaling 20 pence. That would be 5 pence each, assuming they were all charged the same amount. Why wouldn't they be?
He stuck the chap next to him just like this. Brazen, I must say, absolutely brazen.
I have simply typed and collated all the statements made thus far and drawn the logical conclusion.
You can't trust the guild. You can trust the guild. Fair fares is our motto. We haven't raised prices above 4 pence for years.
Really? Not even adjusting for inflation? This scoundrel is skipping the poor man on the floor. It beggars belief. I'm starting to wish I hadn't pushed for this now. Some of the jurors don't seem to have wonderfully formed arguments, do they? Well, let's see what we can do. We need to get these 6 people to change their minds. I'll have to throw everything I can at them. Use some very persuasive language. Just a moment, Mr. Naruhodo. According to my book, that's not quite how it works. Oh? I thought I was going to have to thaw their icy minds with some heartwarming rhetoric about the defendant. That would be a character testimony. Unfortunately. Once the jurors have decided the defendant is guilty, they're unlikely to heed anything the defense says. But then, they reach their conclusions by their own reasoning, you see. Your pleas will sound like excuses. You gotta attack their reasoning. In fact, they could recoil on you. The more you try to persuade them, the more entrenched they may become. Then what on earth am I supposed to do? Oh dear, I'm just citing what I've read about British law, Mr. Naruhodo. Right, I'm sorry. God, doing the voices is giving me the hiccups again. An idiot how to make this work then? From what I can understand, the key to this procedure is using the juror's own words to make your argument. What do you mean? Well, the 6 members of the jury are randomly selected members of the public. I have got to be right back. Feel much better now. It's bonkers. They may appear to represent a united front, but the truth is, they are complete strangers who just happen to find themselves here in the courtroom together. And that's the way to break them down, you mean? Yes, exactly. We must listen very carefully to what each member of the jury says, and see if we can identify any contradictory statements. If we can, we then contrast the statements and pit the corresponding jurors against each other. I see, so it's contradictions in what 2 or more jurors say that we're looking for. In a way, then, it's similar to a regular cross-examination. Oh, yes, I suppose you're right. Sorry. Will the defense and his counsel please stop eating while recording? Find contradiction in their statement and pit the jurors against one another to break them down. Alright, I might be able to pull this off. No, that's not right. Slap, slap. I have to pull this off.
Can we start proceedings, counsel? I would ask you to take the stand for this. I'm expecting a clear and concise rebuttal.
Yes, my lord.
There was no one else inside the carriage at the time, so it has to have been him. That's just the driver. He has an extra Marbury. 4 passengers. He stuck the chap next to him just like this. Brazen, I must say. Absolutely brazen. That's consistent. On the floor.
Objection!
They contradict. Those two statements are completely contradictory.
What? Explain, counsel. Post haste.
Oh, dearie me, I was only knitting a jumper for my other half.
What is all this claptrap? What does contradictory even mean, I ask you? We've heard from more than one witness that they allegedly saw the actual moment when the defendant stabbed the victim. Now, out of curiosity, juror number 3.
What? Can't you see that I'm busy here?
How would you say the defendant stabbed the victim? What sort of motion was it?
Ha! Wanna test me, do ya?
Ooh, it was like this. Struck the fellow next to him without even getting up, just like the prim banker said.
Yes, that was Mr. Fairplay's testimony. Quite true.
Now then, juror number 6. Oh, is that me, is it? What can I do for you, young man? How would you say the defendant stabbed the victim? How would you say the defendant stabbed the victim, madame? Oh, well, dear. As far as I understand it, it was like this. He stabbed the poor man after he collapsed on the floor. The coachman said so. Ha! Now don't move! Have a look at these 2 jurors. He stuck the fellow next to him without even getting up. And he stabbed the poor man after he'd collapsed on the floor.
Well, I never. They're stabbing in totally different directions.
What?
Oh, bless my stitches. What a muddle.
What this tells us is that there's a strong possibility one of the witnesses isn't telling the truth.
Oh. But why? Why the dickens would they lie?
Dickens. Charles Dickens. That would be like in modern times saying, it would be like saying, like, what's a modern day writer that's very recent? Damn it, I can't think of things on the spot. Why the Rick Riordan would they do that? I don't know that yet. But what I do know is that if the trial ends at this point, we may never find out. We may never know the real truth. Like, what the Shakespeare... Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, can you really let that happen in all good conscience? Lies, you say? Oh, dearie me. I can't abide people telling lies. We did it! Turnabout! The scales. Alright, that. Hello, I'm the Freedom Fridge. The scales.
I don't believe it. Wait! Now hear this, my fellow jurors. I warn you, you cannot listen to this man. Look at him in his black suit. He's clearly some devious Eastern sorcerer using magic on us all.
He also got the racist. This is 12 Angry Men. If I could use magic, do you really think I'd be putting myself through all this?
Answer me this, Dark Jinx.
Why is everyone so racist? Me?
What exactly is the problem? What of it if 2 witnesses have slightly different recollections of events?
What of it?
Let's say the Shylock did stab the victim as he was sat next to him on the omnibus. And this young dandy saw him do it. And now let's say the victim collapsed on the floor, and then the Shylock stabbed him again. And this old lady saw him do it. Well, what's to say it didn't happen like that, hmm?
Who are you calling a dandy, sir? Who are you calling a dandy, sir? Why, I should take this knife to you. Who are you calling old? Wait, they should take this needle to you. They're ready to kill each other now. Judge, should we do something about this? No, I want to see where this is going. It's a very tiny window. But I'm gonna do contrarian. It's out of the question. Unfortunately, Mr. Foreman.
What is it, you duck jinx? Come on, out with it.
What your suggestion is impossible. It's out of the question.
What are you talking about, man? How can you possibly say that? You do realize that I'm only doing my job.
Yes, I know.
As foreman of the jury, I have a responsibility to steer everyone in the right direction.
Yes, and I thank you for your service.
So where's your evidence, man? That's what we want to see. I say the two witnesses saw different moments of the same crime.
Listen here, you piece of shit. I'm sorry, I don't mean that. Thank you for your service, public service.
You say that's out of the question, show me some proof.
Looks like the only way I'm going to convince him is to present him with something he can't dismiss. Alright, some irrefutable, hard evidence. As you wish.
What?
Oh, I know. The crime photo. I'll give you the proof. It's out of the question that the two witnesses saw two different moments of the same crime, as proven by this. No, wait. He was only stabbed once.
Take that!
This is the victim's autopsy report. According to what's written here, Mr. Mason was stabbed in the abdomen. Only once.
Huh? Only once?
It's quite simple. The victim was stabbed precisely one time. Which means these witnesses can't possibly have seen it happen two different times. Alright, I concede defeat. Oh, well done, Mr. Naruhodo, you did it! We can manage to change two more jurors' minds. We can force the trial to continue. Two more. Actually, there is something else that's bothering me about a couple of their assertions. Then that's where you must strike next. So we need to pit two more jurors against each other and show there's another contradiction in their assertions. Exactly. You can do it. You're our hero, Link.
Well, the scales of justice have shifted, but they still weigh heavy on the side of guilt. Counsel, you have the floor again. Continue with your summation examination.
I'm no lover of the rich, but I despise lies even more. Innocence is my call for now, at least. It's just the drive. I trust the driver. He has an excellent memory, it seems. 4 passengers with fares totaling 20 pence. There was no one else inside the carriage at the time, so it has to have been him. Drawing the logic. I'm gonna save just in case precedent gets me penalized. Okay, now. Presser. What have you been doing all this time? What have you been doing all this time? Now, I should have thought it was obvious. I am recording everything that takes place as part of these proceedings. And what have you learned from that? For example, at this moment in time, the judge has used his gavel 11 times in total. The prosecution has snorted derisively at your remarks 7 times in total. And I might add, each time you have gulped like a simpleton. Thank you. And what's the point exactly? Hey, so anyway, madame, are you able to explain why you think the defendant is guilty? That is a conclusion I have drawn as a result of the copious notes I have typed. Clearly, but I'm asking you to explain why you've drawn that conclusion. Please don't distract me. It makes it extremely hard to concentrate on my note-keeping. This is going nowhere.
You can trust the guild. Airfares is our motto. We haven't raised prices above 4 pence for years.
Hold it!
So, Preston... Okay. That's how much it costs to take the omnibus?
That's right. As the guild master, I decided to set a policy for all drivers across the city. One fare, no matter which bus you take or how far you go. We have to compete with the rise of the motor car, you see. Us coachmen have to make a stand together.
Motor cars, you say?
Yes, and this murder on one of our buses is extremely damaging to our cause. It's beyond the pale. It'll lead to a decline in passengers, you mark my words. And it's all that rascal's fault. He has to pay.
Who, Henry Ford? Is it the crime of, or his buses he's more worried about?
Anyway, every member of my guild is reliable and trustworthy. So if the driver says he saw him do it, that fellow in the dock is as guilty as sin.
Jesus. Yeah. Okay, I'll press him on these two.
Hold it!
Certainly, the testimonies we've heard suggest the victim and Mr. McGilded were alone inside the carriage.
Precisely my point.
But, could there be some other explanation? Something we haven't considered yet?
Such as?
Jar number 1 and jar number, I think, like, 4. The horseshoe guy. I'm making them sound so similar. I'll try a fucking Hillary Dubois voice. Well, perhaps that's something we could, all work out together now.
Now listen here. Maybe you don't know how things work around here because you're from foreign climes.
I'm from Sunrise Land.
But we're here to form our own opinions as individuals, and I have.
Oh dear, he doesn't appear to be in the mood to consider an alternative point of view, does he? No, I'm going to have to pit the jurors against one another, like the Suzato-san said. Finding contradictions in these 6 people's assertions is the only way I'm going to succeed. Sorry. I trust the driver. He has an excellent memory, it seems. 4 passengers with fares totaling 20 pence.
Hold it!
But does his ability to recall his takens that night really tell us how trustworthy the man is? I manage all his lordship's cash affairs, so I'm fairly particular when it comes to accounts. I see. A single penny can mean the difference between life and death after all, can it? That's a saying in your country. My point is, a man who minds his figures is a man you can trust. Those of us in service would swear to that, sir. Does that bench really need any more polishing? So if the good driver says that he saw Mr. McGilded in the act, I don't doubt him. Okay. The only task left to do is disposing of the rubbish. Mr. Electric, kill him. Now, wait a minute. One of the other jurors mentioned something about money, I think. Now would be a very good time to listen carefully to the jurors' statements again, Mr. Naruhodo. If you notice an inconsistency in what 2 different jurors are saying, I should expose it by pitting them against each other. Yes, let's see if I can do just that. But wait a minute. He says 4 pence, right? Four passengers. But I despise liars even now. Well, we don't have to pit him, so... He's the only other guy who talked about money, so... Are they... Is this the only one?
Objection!
Those 2 statements clearly contradict each other.
Will you? Explain yourself, counsel.
Me? Oh dear, what have I said?
I swear on Silver Blaze's main name, I haven't the first idea what you're talking about.
According to the group testimony we've heard so far, there were 4 passengers on the omnibus on the night in question. And according to the coachman, Mr. Beppo, he took 20 pence in fares. Yeah, 20 times 4 times... Oh! 4 passengers. And it's 4 pence, so it would be 5... They would have paid 5 pence.
there would have been another passenger. Quite right. I have those precise details typed neatly here in front of me. And juror number 5 also told us the following. The fare from the omnibus is always 4 pence.
That it is. A fair and convenient single price. Just the way London's carriages should be operated.
But that doesn't add up at all. In fact, it leaves a glaring discrepancy in the facts.
Why, man, why?
4 passengers paying 4 pence each. If you do the multiplication, it would be 16 pence. Exactly. As I said, it doesn't add up. The figures are different. By 4 pence, in fact. Or precisely, 1 person's fare.
1 person's fare?
Yes. In other words, on the omnibus that night, it's distinctly possible there was another passenger we've heard nothing about.
Oh, good gracious.
Sorry, I'm eating.
Alright then, how do I make it so this missile trial doesn't end,
Well, according to my book here, you simply launch a ball of fire into the innocent side of the set of scales.
Now hold your horses there, coachman. We're all in agreement. Why'd I have to go in? Wait till I get my hands on you, Beppo.
Ah, man, you do not want to fuck with a workers' guild.
This is all very irritating.
Begging your pardon, sir, I'm going to do the same. All right, the working class is on our side.
For the love of Mike, not you as well.
Who's Mike? A penny can be the difference between a smile and a tear, after all. I certainly can't put my trust in someone who doesn't follow my exact standards in financial matters.
Oh, really?
I, for one, think it's only proper that we hear from the witnesses again. Wait, that means 4 jurors are now leaned into not guilty. We've done it, Mr. Naruhodo. We've won! For now.
What are you playing at, you dirty fool?
Shut your trap, sir. No one deceives me.
But we had a consensus.
I said shut your trap. I know a liar when I see one. And if the chap ever dares to cross the threshold of my shop, I'll take this razor-sharp blade and shave every last hair off his head. Oh, you're a barber. Please tell me he's a barber.
Well, in quite a remarkable turn of events, the defense's summation examination has flipped the balance of the scales of justice. The jurors now stand at 2 for guilty and 4 for not guilty.
Of course, of course. If all of them decide on guilty, that would end too quickly. Of course, there would still have to be a few who are convinced that the defendant is guilty.
Accordingly, there is no longer a large enough majority among the jury for me to adjudicate. And the trial must continue.
This is way better than, like, how it is in the other Ace Attorney games. Because, like, in the other Ace Attorney games, it's like, when you prove that there isn't sufficient evidence to prove that your client is guilty, all that happens is that the judge just suspends the trial for another day. Here, it makes a bit more sense. The trial is suspended not because there's lack of sufficient evidence, because lack of sufficient, in a perfect world, lack of sufficient evidence would just mean not guilty. But here, it's because the jury hasn't reached a consensus. So therefore, we have to suspend it. I think that's called a Hun trial.
And I call upon all of you to continue to pursue the truth.
So, Lord Van ZIEKS, care to substantiate the case for the prosecution, if you please?
I need a drink for this.
You're not even drinking it. You're just sniffing it.
Oh! What is a man? A miserable pile of secrets! Haven't savored the rich aroma of the calming contents of this hallowed chalice. Which may seem crash to crush it to dust. Pray forgive the discourtesy.
Lord Van ZIEKS.
Is it cold in here, or is it just me? As your antiquated tome no doubt says, the prosecution may not speak during the summation examination. So I honor the deathly silence and listen to the charade. It seems I overestimated the intelligence of the jury. Rude. Well, no matter. There is nothing so hard to prove as a self-evident truth it would seem. No, and why else would we grace the courtroom with our presence after all? So, let us proceed to the next round of battle. Bring forth the witnesses once more. This is... Witnesses?
I gotta make sure. Are we still in fucking... Wait, when did we get to part 2 of the trial? Well, I'm just gonna... I have been recording for an hour. That's good. I'll play the rest of the trial later. See ya.